Step 1. I've transferred some old tank water into this bucket with a little heater to keep the temperature warm for Buddy. And I put Buddy in here with his little craft mesh hide cave. So he'll be in here while I'm preparing the new tank. Step 2. Removing the cycled filter media and rocks from the old tank and putting them in a bucket of some more old tank water so the beneficial bacteria won't die. I have 2 new pieces of driftwood plus the old piece of spider wood that was in the old tank sitting in some water so they will get waterlogged or remain waterlogged, so that when I put them back in the new tank they will not float to the top. Okay, the old tank has been emptied of most of its water, and all that remains in here is the substrate, which I'm going to transfer now to the new tank after I've set the new tank in place. Step 4. I have cleaned and rubbed algae off of the old plants that were in the old tank, and now I'm going to move on to cleaning and trimming the new plants that I got that I might use for this taller tank. Here are some of the taller plants that I bought to put into this new tank possibly. The first one I just thought was real pretty. It's kind of a mid-ground plant called nymphoides, and this taller one is dwarf sage. Usually I've been using the dwarf sage subulata, which is the short ones, as ground cover. This one will be a bit tall. And then this one, I forgot what this one was called, but I found it at Petco. But I liked it because it really is tall and it has nice slender leaves. It's not a Java fern. It's something else. I can't remember, and I threw away the tag. Okay, so I'm going to clean these now, get rid of any dead leaves or dead branches, and get these ready. I nearly forgot. I found a nice, healthy Anubias nana, which is a rhizome plant. And so I'll probably stick that in one of the crevices in the driftwood, I imagine, once I set that up. Alright, all the plants are trimmed and cleaned and checked for snails. The next step will be to do a little scrubbing of the stones and rocks that I've got. And then I'll put the soil into the new tank, put some root tabs in there, and start figuring out how to scape this thing. Now that the plants are all ready, I have to turn my attention to making sure that everything in the back compartments of the tank are all situated as they should be, because once you put water in the tank and scape it and everything, you don't want to have to struggle with trying to put things in the back and adjust things. It's easier to do it first. So here is the compartment. It's, as you're facing the tank, it's on the left-hand side, and it holds the filter pump, which you can see right there. There's the spout and the tube that goes down, and it's a little filter pump at the bottom. And there's enough space in there for me to put my cobalt neotherm heater, which I have suction cupped to the back wall, and it's enough space in there for it to be situated easily. I put it about midway in the middle of the compartment, because just in case the water ever goes down, you don't want the heater to be uncovered. And so it goes pretty far down there. So that's what the heater and the filter look like. And that's the filter tube that I put 4 holes in. And so as the water comes up through the tube, some of the water goes out in the holes, which circulates the water inside this little compartment, and it allows the heater to heat that water before it goes out back into the tank. And it also helps that compartment, the water, to keep from becoming stagnant. So that's that section. In my tanks, I always put a piece of craft mesh in the bottom so that it will protect the bottom glass from any rocks or gravel scratches that might occur. The next step is to place the tank exactly where you want it, because if you don't, once you fill that thing up with water, it's very, very heavy. 8 pounds per gallon, so it's about 40 pounds. What I've done, instead of using the stand that comes with the tank, I put the tank on top of a piece of yoga mat, 4 millimeters thick, that's cut out to fit the bottom of the tank. And it cushions it, and it kind of makes sure that there's no problems with any roughness in the surface that you're putting the tank on top of. Now I had to figure out where to put the clip-on Finex light. I put it to the left of the compartment where the media basket is, because occasionally I'm going to have to lift that media basket out. And if the clip-on light is there in that right-hand section, I'd have to remove the clip-on light every time. And so I was able to put it on the left-hand side so that I'll never have to unclip it, except to maybe get at the filter pump and the heater. But that I rarely have to do. The next step is to put the gravel in. So I took the gravel from the original Spec III and put it little by little into the new tank. I always do about 1 inch in the front and banked up to maybe 2.5 to 3 inches in the back. And so I did that. That was the next step. Next, I positioned the 2 new pieces of driftwood that I had bought the other day. I got some really nice pieces of driftwood that formed kind of like little tunnels on the bottom, which I like. The one on the right, every time I look at it, it kind of makes me think it's a man stretching his left arm out for some reason. Kind of strange. I finally decided just to put 1 stone in the back left corner. I tried putting other larger stones in there, but it just looked too busy in such a small footprint of a tank. Now it was time to put the plants in. I put 3 different types of plants in. On the back left, I have tall dwarf sage. On the middle to the right-hand side in the back, I have a new plant I've never used before, but I saw it at the aquarium store, and I just thought it was so pretty. And it's supposed to get tall as well. It's called Nymphoides or something like that. On the 2 pieces of driftwood, I have crammed an Anubias nana plant and a Anubias nana petite plant into the crevices in the driftwood. And you do that because you don't plant these rhizome kind of plants in the soil. You either can put them in little crevices in driftwood, or you can glue them with super glue to rocks or even to the driftwood, or some people tie them. But I found it easy enough to just cram the rhizome into these a couple of crevices in the driftwood. What happens is, as the plant grows, its roots come out from the rhizome and start to wrap around whatever it's on, and that's how it takes root. Okay, I've planted the tank. Now I'm ready to put the water in, but before I do that, I filled up my DIY media basket with the cycled media. To the right is the coarse sponge. In the middle, I put some new filter floss, 100% polyester fluff, you know, that you use to fill pillows and things. Under that I have another piece of filter floss that was from the cycled tank, and underneath that I have 2 bags of cycled ceramic media, and on the bottom there's a pad, a new pad that is supposed to help get rid of nitrates. So the water's going to flow from the top, which is what you see on the right, down to the bottom towards the biomedia and back into the compartment, which the filter pump will pump back into the display tank water. Okay, we'll see how this works. It's about 5 to 4 now on Tuesday, and I've completed the new tank installation. I decided to use 2 new pieces of driftwood that I had purchased that kind of fit together nicely to create little tunnels on the bottom. And then I put 3 kinds of plants. In the back corner, left side, is dwarf sage, not the mini ones, but the taller ones that will grow fairly tall. On the right half at the back is a new plant I'd never seen before called Nymphoides, which is going to be a tall plant as well. I just thought it was so pretty. And then in the on the left front, I put a couple of Amazon swords that I had from my previous tank. And then on the driftwood, on the large piece of driftwood on the right, I kind of crammed an Anubias nana in one of the crooks of the driftwood, and on the middle of the left piece of driftwood I crammed a little Anubias nana petite that I previously had super glued to a stone. But I took it off the stone and crammed it in a crevice there. And then I have 2 little moss balls in the front. So I think it's going to be nice. After I scaped it, I filled it. And then what I did, well, I filled it, I'd say maybe about 1/3 or of the way up. 1/4 to 1/3 of the way up with old tank water that Buddy had been in. And then the rest of the way up, 2/3 or more of the way up, I filled with the RO tap water 50-50 mix that I had prepared a couple of days ago. What I had also done was, as it was sitting in the bucket and heating to the 78 degrees, I also put a big almond leaf, Indian almond leaf, in there, because that's supposed to help lower the pH with its tannins or something like that. And after I filled it up, and I waited a little bit, and I just tested the water, everything's fine. Oh, what I did was I put already cycled filter media in that filter caddy that I had made. And so it was an instant cycle, and apparently that really does work. Because when I tested it, 0 ammonia, 0 nitrites, about 5 nitrates, and the pH was 7.2, which is really good. That's what I want. Let's see, what else did I test for? The pH. No, I guess that's it. The main thing with betas is you are to make sure that the pH is stable. And if you can get it close to 7.0 or 7.2, that's even better. But stability, consistency is the most important thing. Even if the pH goes higher, no problem, just so it's stable. I had to mix my tap water with RO water, pure water, because in San Jose the pH of the tap water is really high. It was like an 8.6 or something like that. And so mixing it with RO water lowers the pH as well. So everything's good. I just put Buddy in and he is exploring. The water right now is a little bit cloudy because of being filled, and it kind of raises up some dust from the substrate, but that'll clear out within a day, I'm sure. The hardest thing for me always is when you're planting stem plants, which are ones that you just push it into the gravel. After you start filling it up, what happens a lot is the plants, the roots dislodge from the gravel and float up, and you have to keep on trying to replant it without dislodging other plants nearby it. Especially in a tank like this, which is a very small footprint, very narrow. It's not the easiest thing to get your hand in there to manipulate things without dislodging other things. But hopefully the plants will stick, and once the roots start growing into the soil, no problem. But I think it's going to be nice. He has a lot more area there, and I like the plants. We'll see. Okay, bye-bye. I'm going to turn the lights down for him for a few hours so he can kind of get acclimated to his new his new digs. So long. Oh, I forgot to mention, I just discovered too, because the flow from the spout, the output spout, was still, even with the holes in my filter pump tube, and I had turned the pump down to about 2/3 of its force. It was still pretty strong, and I didn't really feel like pulling, out the heater and pulling out the pump just to change the nozzle control or the flow control. And so what I did, I thought, maybe I'll try again. And what happens is I remove the spout, which is kind of it's like in a ball and socket kind of thing, where the end of the spout fits into that kind of socket there that you see, and thus you're able to turn the spout different directions. But I thought, well, let's see, here's something I hadn't tried yet. I took that's the sponge filter part that I used on the Spec III, and I was able to jam the end into that socket, ball socket, because it has, it's kind of a clip kind of thing, so it gives, and it holds on to it fine. I don't know why that never occurred to me before to try, but that really helped, and so the flow is nice and gentle now. Okay, success.